Seated in his office facing the glass wall, a man held a cigarette between his fingers, lighting one after another without pause. Strands of his long black silky hair fell loosely across his forehead, even in a white dress shirt and black formal trousers. His appearance looked rugged, slightly undone, yet his strong masculine presence and striking feature only made him more compelling in this strait. His deep black eyes, faint bloodshot at the edge, were fixed on some invisible point. A flush has crept into his otherwise clear complexion. He was lost in thoughts, angry, restless, and deeply unsettled. Today, the friend he had trusted more than anyone had humiliated him in front of a full gathering. The betrayal had cost him billions, but the loss of money meant nothing to him. What burned was the insult, what hurt was the honor that had been dragged through the dirt, a pride that had been crushed underfoot in public. Harrison had been Jungkook's friend for years, his business partner. He was much older than Jungkook, yet Jungkook had always regarded him as a true friend, someone he respected and cared for deeply. That he would shake hands with his enemies at such a movement, selling him out for a deal and a handful of money, was something Jungkook had never imagined. Still, the solid backing behind him gave him courage. The people supporting him were powerful, and that made him bold. What are you doing here? Haven't you been humiliated enough already that you have come all the way here too? He said, forcing confidence as he came down. Jungkook looked at him at the storm in his eyes only deepened. This man had once been a friend, now he stood as an enemy. Jungkook moved towards him, grabbing him by the collar. He flung him aside. Harrison crashed near a table in the hall. He was an aging man in his early to mid-50s, while Jungkook was 30. There was no comparison between them all. Jungkook dropped down on his knees beside him and studied his face closely. His eyes were still burning red. What did you think? He said slowly. That your betrayed me, caused me a loss this big, and walk away in peace. That I joined Jungkook would let you go so easily. You stabbed me in the back while pretending to be my friend. If you were an enemy, you should face me head on. If you fought me like a man, you know you never would won. That's why you choose the way of cowards. He leaned in, his voice low and deliberate. But I won't let you off so easily. I don't take every single revenge from you one by one. Then count me among cowards like you. Start counting these days of your ruin. I'll destroy you so completely that you'll fall at my feet begging for mercy. He spoke each word as if chewing on it. Harrison knew that Jungkook didn't just threaten. He tried to turn his word into reality. Still, his own backing was strong. Jungkook wouldn't be able to ruin him that easily. You can't do anything, Jungkook hasn't replied without fear. If you were such a man, you wouldn't face me in front of everyone. Go on, try whatever you can. You won't able to touch a single hair of my head. At that, Jungkook smiled, a cold, mocking smile. The ones you're proudly leaning on winning them won't be a big deal for me. Either I'll destroy them first, then I'll come for you. But right now, in the street you are in, you should be afraid of me. There is no one here who can save you. If I use the very important movement and walk out, no one will be able to touch me, and no one will be able to save you. As he spoke, he fired two shots in the floor, then the barrel come to the rest against Hyacinth's forehead. Hyacinth squeezed his eyes shut in fear, yet somewhere deep inside, he was certain Jungkook wouldn't kill him. Jungkook pressed the trigger just slightly. A girl's scream rang out behind him. He froze instantly and turned towards the sound. A young girl around 18 or 19, almost innocent looking, was pressed against the wall, trembling with fear. Tears streamed from her grey glass like eyes as she stared at him in terror. Her milky white complexion had turned pale with fright. Dressed in a pink suit, her skin seemed to glow even more starkly. Her deep brown hair was tied back, but loose strand had slipped free, forming a soft frame around her face. Jungkook stood still, his breath held, staring at her. It was the first time he had ever seen her. 1 month later, at night, dressed casually in a trouser and t-shirt, he sat by the edge of the swimming pool. His feet dipped into the water. The entire place was decorated like a bride, glowing under the lights, yet he was lost in his thought. In his eyes lived the face of a fairy-like girl. Ever since the day he had seen that face, he had not been able to forget it. He didn't even know why those grey glass-like eyes filled with fear. Jungkook closed his eyes tightly, then opened them again, forcing himself to stop. He didn't want to think beyond that. Today was that fairy's wedding. She was going to marry someone else. Today he knew that was why he sat there, appearing calm. A little while later, his PA approached him. Sir, the groom's family has arrived at the wedding hall. What should we do? The PA sounded tense. He had no idea what was going on inside this man's mind. Harrison had done everything he could to keep this wedding secret, unaware that Jungkook had watching his every call, his every move, minute by minute. Nothing, he said calmly. Is my black three-piece ready? Yes, sir, the PA replied respectfully, lowering his head. Are the cars and carts ready? Yes, sir. Have you decorated my room and my car properly? Yes, sir. Good. He lifted his feet out of the water. A man only marries once in his life, he said lightly, so it should be done with grandeur. If nothing else, at least one should fulfill his small desire. Don't you think I am a right, George? He spoke with an almost understand tone. George nodded in agreement. You're right, sir. So are you going to get married this time? Jungkook always nodded yes. George stared at him in shock. But to whom you never mentioned. To the one whose wedding is happening, Jungkook replied evenly. The one sitting there as a bride and the groom is already here. Then who exactly will she marry? He calmly wiped his feet with towel and slipped into his shoes. But sir, if you intend to marry her, you should hurry. A groom has already arrived there. What if her marriage is completed before we reach? George's mind was flooded with questions, but he pushed them aside and focused on what mattered most. How long does it really take to marry a widow again? Jungkook said indifferently as he stood up and walked inside. George remained standing there, staring after him with his mouth slightly open. Harrison didn't even want to think about it. Van looked at her father with tear-filled eyes. She wanted to run into his arms to cling him one last time, but Jungkook held her hand firmly, not letting her go. Look at your daughter one last time, Jungkook said with contempt. You may never get the chance to see her again. She's innocent, Jungkook. Don't hurt her. Harrison pleaded. I never expected you to take revenge on me through my daughter. He stared at his child, trembling, terrified. He knew she was scared, but he was powerless to do anything. She stood in the flower-adorned room, slowly looking around. He had sent her here with a maid and left. Her heart was still tumbling like a dried leaf crushed in the wind. She had never been anywhere except her own home. She had never met many people, new places frightened her, and today she was suddenly all alone here. And the man she had come with, he was the very one she feared the most. Her legs shook as she took a few steps forward. She wanted to run away from here to hide somewhere, anywhere, but there were no place in sight. She didn't know what he would do to her in the rage he carried. The fear inside her kept growing from childhood till now. She had never truly accepted her trauma, and today that trauma rose above her, pressing down on her completely. Pain-filled screams echoed in her mind.